How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting. Welcome back to Forgotten Trace, the Thanatos and nostalgia, where I don't even know. Who can tell what the heck's going on? It feels like the story's getting super big, but then we had a weird, like, credit sequence that I don't understand, but, you know, that's fine, whatever. We're gonna just keep going and see where the story takes us, because now we're down on this part of the chart. So, it says in the chapter summary that we have some Kazuya, a little more Madoka, apparently, but that's it. So, I'm guessing, question mark, if it's going to be keeping it a secret, maybe it's going to be a bit more for Madoka. That just seems to make the most sense. But yes, it is time for us to jump further into this maddened story about North Zarya and battling people with abilities and just utter madness. But it's great anyway. So let's jump right in. I do love the music, though. The music is great. Okay. YouTube, please be kind. There's nothing actually here being shown.
見事な最後だったぞ。私は寒天に咲く星たちを見上げ、そっとつぶやく。これでお前は、すべてのしがらみから解放され、終わりの始まりを手に入れたのだな。望まれたその光景は、何者にも代え難い、まったく、羨ましいものだ。風も、土も、光も、森羅万象、すべては不完全なものでなくてはならない。嘆き、悲しみ、果てる。それこそが根本的な象徴であるがゆえの、慈しみであり、希望なのだ。光と闇、愛あるがゆえの憎しみであるかのように、しじまなど、もうありはしない。移ろいゆくこの光の波とともに、この狭間から手を伸ばし、安らぎをつかもう。
That's when the scent of the wind changes. The clouds in the skies even change color and the withered trees begin to stir.
これは、北西宿舎の揺らぎを感じる。来るか、視線にまとわりつくちらつき。この大気のうねりは、電気感覚を司るノーザリア。
Electrical sensations.
北方玄武七宿の第二宿。
Okay.
牛宿のダビーか。再び、相まみえようというのか。おしなり。前の戦いで、ただ一人生き残ったお前に、一体何ができる？
So this battle not only happened, but happened recently.
何か策があるとでも言うのか。あるいは、能力の進化の過程を手に入れたとでも言うのか。忘れ得ぬ女のために全てを捨て去る覚悟でか。一体私は、何のためにあの女を生かしていたと思う？なぜそれがわからぬ。追い風はいつも一度しか吹かぬもの。その風とともに大空へと飛び立てなかったものは、もう二度と翼は与えられはしないのだ。まるで飛び方を忘れてしまった鳥のように、寂しげに大空を見上げるしかないのだ。お前は、また地べたを這いつくばりたいというのか。恐怖など感じさせはしない。一つの瞬きとともに死の安息に沈めてやろう。
Interesting.
いいか、星なり、お前たちすべてのノーザリアはこの私から生まれたのだ。あの時からなあ。そう。
I call that name out. The sound of it is nostalgic.
そう、待ちわびていたのだ。どれほどこの時に身を焦がしたか。やっと会えるのだな。
So a smile appears in my heart.
そう、私は、その笑顔が、ただただ恋しいのだ。また二人で歌おう。あの子守歌を。あの日、あの場所で、私たちはまた一つになる。 誰にも邪魔されず、まるで時が止まったかのような白い白い景色の中に、また私を置いてくれないか、切ないのだ。胸が締め付けられるほどに、切り刻まれるほどに。
She's terrifying because like she's so interesting. She's beautiful and scary and like I really don't know what her role is here.
そうだ。
But she seems to be the source of all of this, and yet also she has her own like drive, and she like sees Kazuya as her so. Is he a reincarnation of the original man that she fell in love with? Or what? God, like, it really does feel like she's kind of like a fae creature. It's funny because I've been reading a book recently that actually has a fae-like creature in it that's very reminiscent. Like, she talks like she's this ancient being, and, like, though the revolutions of humanity, like, roll forward under her eyes, she's been alive for all of it. And she also sees these rebirthings happening over and over again. So she could be in love with the soul of a person, the remnant of the person that she fell in love with. But Kazuya is a completely different person now. And like, for an immortal, it might be difficult to see that difference. And so she has these expectations of Kazuya. So how is this going to play out? Like, is Kazuya going to like become so? Like, is she going to remember like his old lives? Is he going to be able to follow those feelings he's had? Because he has those feelings. Remember, he has those echoes, those half-remembered memories. Is he going to deviate from Ibuki? Or is he locked onto Ibuki and not going to let her go, even if he regains his memory? It's really interesting. And then, like, if she's kind of throwing her lot in with Kazuya, to the point where she manipulates the other Narsaria towards her end, what would she do if he, like, admits to her that he's not going to, like, pursue her any longer? That he's changed and moved on. Also, it's funny, because, like, I don't know what this flower is. Like, I think they talked about it. I actually have, like, almost a very similar looking flower in my own garden that I planted last year, and it kind of, I thought it died actually, but it was a perennial, like something comes back every year, and I thought it had died, but this year it came back and it's actually flowering right now with these bright purple flowers, which is really cool.
その日も、あの真っ白な雪景色の中、スミレの花が凛とたくましく咲いていたな。散りもせず、ただ凛と、まるでこれからの私たちを暗示するかのように。
Interesting.
あと少し、そうだよ、もう少しだよ。
That's really weird when the music cuts out like that. Oh, extra! Why fetch? Okay, but what about these? Like, so Kazuya and Madoka, like, are they like, were there choices in their like lines that I like didn't make quite right? I'm curious. But the thing is, I can always go back, so I can experiment with this later. Because, like, I remember with Ibuki, Madoka, and Kazuya, I got to make choices, or at least in, like, what to say. At least with Ibuki and Kazuya, for sure. So I wonder if that's what it is. Like, if, like, to get the true ending, I had to get everything to 100. I'll have to see about that. But we'll have to see what extra is. Oh, fetch. Are you serious? Is this really going to be the end of it? These are all, like... These are stills that we've never seen before. Is this just, like, side art? Voices. Music. Oh, like, actual music video, it looks like. Huh. So am I crazy? Like... Is this really all it is for, like, chapter 1? Well, that seems silly now that this video is going to be super short. Let me do some research real quick, and I'll get right back to you. Okay. So... I did some digging. I think I just kind of rolled some unlucky stuff here because I think this is the end. This is the end of chapter 1. And the other chapters aren't here yet. So, I mean, as a solid taste for a solid beginning of a new story, it's pretty good. Like, captivating, really. But I am a little sad that it's over because there's so much we don't know. Fetch, man, this is crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and give kind of like an end review here because this video otherwise is just going to be painfully short. I mean, it's still going to be painfully short. It might be one of those shortest videos I've ever done, but I unfortunately didn't realize that this was the end. Otherwise, I would have just added this to the end of the last episode. But yeah, so I don't know why these Kazuya and Madoka are only at 90%. I did some experimenting where I went down the paths and picked the other routes and the other like choices, and I wasn't able to get these percentages up any higher. So I really don't know what that's all about, because every other chapter, obviously, we've hit 100% on everything. But maybe I'm just missing something. I could try and do a little more digging, but I frankly am just not sure where I would look at this point, because I don't remember there being any other real choices at any point. So how can I, after having explored all the stories, have missed something? I just don't know. But yeah, the game itself is very beautiful. It has a lot of potential, but I think it sprints a little much. There's a lot going on and very little explained. And so, like, while it's got my interest, I feel like that it's almost got too much happening, and the exposition has been a little too lengthy at times, which is saying a lot, because I think it did a lot better than it was trying to. Like, it has impressions that it was, like, really wanted to just info dump on us all the time, and it held itself back to a reasonable degree, but it still was a lot. Even in visual novels, a lot of storytelling is best when it's show, not tell. And so I feel like there's a little too much telling in this one, but I'm really curious to see where this is going to move on forward. But I think I'm going to be a bit more hesitant to continue until, like, maybe more of the chapters come out towards the finale, because I'm not sure if I would want to get it super stunted like this. Like, there's probably going to be a large gap now between this part and the continuation of the story in the future. But I would be very interested to check the details on this, so I'll be looking it up, I'll be following it. I think the exploration of the Kazuya character is really good, because, like I said, it was really interesting because of how personal his story is to me, how similar our injuries were, and, like, the effect that they kind of had in our lives. I think he had it worse than me, but, like, it's still interesting to see, and it's something that was really powerful for me to be able to discuss, so I'm very grateful for that opportunity, at the very least. As far as Ibuki, I'm not a big fan of her. I totally get that she's really struggling and all of that, but I also think that she's very much like a hermit crab, where she's so quick to hide. And I get it, like, I really do understand she's very human of a character, and, like, her motivations, her choices of why she's made them make a ton of sense. But I think as a character, I find her to be not shallow, that's not the right word for it, but, like, I just don't think, I don't feel like she's really, like, I don't know why Kazuya's so obsessed with her. Like, I know he cares about her. You can't, like, people fall in love and you can't control that. But, like, yeah, I'm not falling in love with her as a character. And so I'm hoping we'll get to see more of her in the future to help explain that to me. Because so far, I think the mysterious lake woman, the Fae lady, she's far more interesting. Kind of crazy and cruel, but, like, fascinating at the same time. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then Ray, I pretty much hate him. Like, everything about his character sucks, especially because it seems he's absolutely, like, he's aware. Like, I could have been I could have forgiven him if he were just kind of an idiot, but he's not. He kind of is toying with people and manipulating things, and I'm not a huge fan of that because he feels very fake. And I'm curious to see, like, when Kazuya figures that out, because so far, he even implied that he was kind of involved in, like, getting Kazuya hurt. So it's like, why? Like, what's his motivation? Because he's not even part of the Northaria. And then there's a whole Northaria. They're insane. Like, how on earth are you supposed to, like, deal with them when they know so much already? They got such a head start. It's really terrifying. So I'm really curious to see how this all plays out, and there's a lot of other characters that we really just don't know what their place is in all of this yet. Like, they were introduced and, like, given some solid foundations of who they were, but they're obviously not going to be important until later in the story, and I think that's an odd choice to make. I think it would have made more sense if this was, like, all that was going to be out for a while. Like, when you have side characters that are going to be so important, like the girl who plays the violin, and, like, the kind of, like, research people who, like, met Madoka. I suppose it's just setting the board for them in the future, but I feel like it's a bit of a gap between this release and whatever the next title is, because, like, frankly, I don't even know if it's in the works or not. Maybe it's already come out and just hasn't been translated yet. I couldn't find any information on it though. Granted, I'm limited because I don't speak Japanese, so maybe there is more information I just don't know. But it makes me concerned because a lot of projects can like die in limbo, and I would hope that doesn't happen here. But regardless of that, thank you so much for joining me on this series. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and hopefully this encourages the creators and translators to continue doing their work. Thank you, Fruitbat Factory, for giving me this opportunity to play the game. It definitely seems very fascinating, and I definitely I want to understand more about it, and I want to see like where this goes. So I hope you guys keep in touch about that. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be doing something new next week. So I'll do some snooping around and some digging on some of the smaller titles that have come across my in front of me, and I'll probably reaching out to my patrons and seeing what they think the next option would be that they are most interested in seeing would be. But yeah, we'll have to just kind of take it day by day and see how this all plays out. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope a good start to your weekend and everything, no matter where you are. Thank you so much for being a part of this series with me. If you have recommendations of smaller titles you'd like me to cover, leaving it in the Discord or even in the comments of this video below will be really good for me just to kind of touch base with. But yeah, like again, I do want to kind of focus on unknown titles, small developer titles, new titles, recent translations that just don't have a lot of traction. I think it's important to have a spotlight put out on people who are trying to make something exciting and different and interesting that might not be getting the media attention or the, you know, promotions on Steam and other places. So I hopefully will be able to continue to keep this tradition on Fridays to kind of give that spotlight to some of these developers and smaller companies and names. Granted, a lot of the companies might even not be that small per se, but like the original development team might be very small, and so I hope that we get to continue to do that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you to the lovely patrons who are so much a part of this process. I look forward to being able to message you about that in the very near future. So yeah, thank you so much. And until the next video, watching me, I'll see you next. I'll see you there.